All right. Make sure I can hear myself. Mic check. Okay. So I'm just gonna get straight into it. So I noticed there's been a recent movie that's come out called the Magical Society of Negroes or something like that. And it it's just more of the typical, just more of the same. I think number one, black women should not support any so-called black movies. Me personally, I don't think I've seen a black movie in, I'd say, over a decade, maybe, probably a little bit longer. Majority of my viewership goes towards documentaries and an informational podcast, and it's done wonders because number one, my money is being saved heavily. And that's another thing. I think a lot of black women should see a lot of them erasure in films as a way of saving money. Because a lot of these people are basically telling you that they don't care for your support. And a lot of it is because you continue to give their support. So let's say, for instance, with this movie, The Magical Society of Negroes, I hear that the lead, first of all, the lead is not even is not even a black person. It's a biracial guy with a white mom and a black dad, I believe. Now we have to understand that usually when it comes to the offspring of white women and black men, there's usually always going to be an undertone of misogynoir taking place from these types. As we can see with Drake, as we can see with the Drake situation, because he's also the product of a white mom and black dad. And what you'll notice is that a lot of these types tend to have a very weird interpretation of blackness. Number one, because you have the black parent who's actually looking to erase his blackness, while you have the other parent that barely wants to acknowledge the whiteness in their child by calling them black. So they're already off to a bad start with these types, unfortunately. And what usually happens is that this type of mindset tends to manufacture on the mainstream a lot. And that's due to the fact that that's essentially what keeps this country going. That's essentially what, matter of fact, I'm not even going to say it. King of Reeds actually did a very thorough discussion on this, and I'm actually going to review it here. Share my screen. Just give me 1 second. There we go. Okay, perfect. So basically, King of Reeds decided to do a review of this because I know damn well I wasn't about to watch this movie. I was not about to give any of my money to this bullshit. And from what I heard, it did extremely bad at the box office, as it should have. And let's see. Oh, let me start from now. It's a 44-minute review. But
Come on, man. She's
sorry.
smart.
Oh, pause. But there were certain key moments in here that did strike out to me, that I wanted to just add additional commentary on for his review. And let's start from the beginning. Overall, this was a good review. I just feel like there were certain things that were left out, but I'll get to that.
So I finally had a chance to watch the Wizarding World of Unmagical Negroes.
You know, the name needs a little updating, maybe like magical black people, or I guess that doesn't have the same ring.
And when I tell you, everything that I expected showed up, and it showed up even worse. Let's talk about it. I want you all to join me on this unmagical journey of anti-blackness.
Oh, what a way to start it off. Yeah, that's clearly what this is. that is clearly that is clearly what this is, because it just gives off to me that essentially black folks are helpmates in this entire shit, even towards the main character. I didn't know that actually the main character
Had a chance to watch
this not
the
David
movie
Allen,
American Society of Magical Negroes, and as
but apparently
Cool.
this character here, not sure who he is honestly. I have to look him up, but I'm guessing he's some kind of new actor in this space, a new, I guess, Jordan Peele type of character, where a lot of them will just write scripts that are basically satirical comedy, satirical coon shit. That's what I call it personally. But let's get into it.
Black people, or I guess that doesn't have the same ring.
and when I tell you everything that I expected showed up, and it showed up even worse. Let's talk about it. American Society of Magical Negroes. And as someone who is a fan of magic and also black people, I was excited to watch this movie. I was excited when I saw the title, but when I saw the trailer, I already knew what it was giving.
You cannot have a relationship with Lizzie now, because if you don't put Jason first, everyone's magic will fail.
And as I did further research of the people involved, I became less interested.
When the trailer dropped, it did spark some controversy for you as the writer.
Oh, pause. Okay, I don't know who either of these people are, but it's giving I don't know. They should have just wrote the American Society for Confused Biracials. I'm gonna be honest. There needs to be a movie on that too. But yeah.
I didn't hear about this. What are you talking about?
And
So apparently this guy here is the writer, and I believe he's another biracial man. I don't know who these people are. Jesus Christ, that's how out of the loop I am. But yeah, that's just...
For you as the writer,
I didn't hear about this. What are you talking about?
And a lot of people like myself who had that opinion voiced it.
Oh, hold on. Pause. Why math? No, that's not reading right. Okay, so we had Black Hogwarts, and you thought the way to get magical Negroes engaged was making Black people's magic contingent on white comfortability. You made the Black man risk all of Black people's magic for a white girl. Like, who greenlighted this? Hello, sweetie. I was thinking the same thing, and and a lot of people don't want us to recognize that. That's Let's see.
Online and was met with all types of negativity because some people do not understand that a trailer does sometimes tell you a lot about the movie. There are YouTubers who I even follow who break down Easter eggs in 20 minutes on a 30-second trailer.
On the side of a semi, we can see the branding for Patriot, the beer that first appeared in Grand Theft Auto 4.
So trailers are specifically catered to the viewer to make them interested in seeing the body of work. Yes, sometimes we don't get everything in the trailer, but the trailer gives us a hint of what's to come. And this movie was not a big budget.
I have to ask, what the fuck was David Allen Greer thinking? Like, did he need a job really this bad? Like, I get it. He hasn't been in films in a long time. I'm not sure how he's doing financially. But at the same time, I just wondered, why would he sign up for some shit like this? But at the same time, like I said, I don't know this dude. And he could be on board with a lot of the bullshit too. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen him on TV. And I'm not going to lie, from the two biracial guys sitting on the couch is giving me very much Jordan Peele. What's those two guys? Key and Peele. It's giving me Key and Peele 2.0. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't really care for the original ones. Because I'm sorry, I just don't find them funny. I don't find any of their movies interesting. Even the whole concept of Get Out, I only saw that movie. That movie was only worth watching one time. And if I only want to see it one time, that tells me everything I need to know.
Budget movie that wanted to hide all of the details.
Look, we're a small black independent film at the end of the
Biracial independent film. Again, I don't consider people who come from white mothers and black men to be black people, because that essentially sends the message that black women are not needed in the creation of black people. That is essentially supporting the erasure of black women. And I wish a lot of black women would kind of catch that game, that there's a real effort to erase black beauty from this earth, which is why they are so obsessed with putting mammy-like caricatures and fucked up characters of us characters of us in the spotlight, while ignoring the greatest of us. And that's something I'm going to get into as well.
day. I'm just excited people are talking about it.
They had to give us a good trailer to tell us what's going on, because we have no idea. But we got hints. We got hints of magic. We got hints of things that we've seen in other movies.
Yeah, and that's another thing. It gave me bootleg Harry Potter. Now, Harry Potter was a series that I actually loved growing up. I remember actually starting to read the books when they first came out in 1990. I think it was 1997 was when the Sorcerer's Stone came out. I was a kid. I think I was about 8 years old at the time, and that was one of the first long chapter books that I had ever read. I think this was around the time when I got out of picture books and started really getting into serious reading at a very early age. And I do credit Harry Potter with that for sure. But that's not what this happy Negro bullshit is, or the Society of Magical Coons, Magical Black Servants, whatever. Yeah, it just gives me a very, very miserable coon version of Harry Potter. Like there was no originality behind it, and I see. Let me just go. Let me just keep going.
And franchises that are not in association with this because of copyright. So a lot of black folks were excited about this movie. A lot of black folks have been waiting to see some black folks with magic. We've seen a lot of skits and stuff, and people go viral online for making, references to Harry Potter, black folks having magic, and what would have happened if black folks had magic. So a lot of folks wanted to see what it was going to give. But like I said, when the trailer came out, a lot of us was like, I don't know about this, because we saw this non-black woman who was supposed to be the love interest of the main character.
Hey, I'm Lizzie.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
She's great.
Yeah, she's cool.
You kidding? Come on, man. She's smart and funny.
So a couple of people were defending it and saying that we do not recognize satire, that it is supposed to be a play on the magical Negro. And a lot of us know what satire is. Like, a lot of us incorporate it in our response to a lot of things that we see every day as a black person. There are a lot of black folks who do skits and stuff that are similar to this.
It's not easy learning a new skill. Here at Dignity and Ambition for Magical Negroes.
Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Or damn. We help magical Negroes from classic films go from supporting to lead.
Like, I don't get it. I really don't. I don't know. I don't find shit like this funny. I feel like there's so much talent out here that's not being talked about, and people just can't seem to do their own fucking research and actually search for good content. So they just put out shit that they think is going to be the easy draw and what they think is going to be the easy dollar. And again, your days of pandering to white people are over. A lot of them really don't give a fuck. A lot of them see the large amount of disrespect that you have for yourselves, and the amount, especially when it comes to black men. Let's be serious. Black men, and of course, their biracial sons. Can we keep it a buck and say that it's mostly black men that are pushing this? Mostly black men that are directing these movies, writing these movies. even when it comes to the Black films. And then the few Black women that they do let in, it's going to be it's normally going to be a Black woman that goes along with the status quo, which is why they don't have too many of us in the industry as it is, because there aren't too many of us that'll go along with the status quo. It's relatively minor. Y'all got to remember, a lot of people tend to forget that there's 24 million Black women on this planet. If you're kind of seeing the same ones being repeated over and over in your face, that should kind of tell you something. And that's not something you should be supporting. And that's something you should be actively criticizing. Like, say, hey, where are the new Black actresses? We have to request this stuff. As Black women, we have to put this out there and not be afraid of what we're going to lose, because guarantee you, whatever you think that you're going to lose wasn't there to support you in the first place. They were there just to merely exploit you. But back to this.
Some people do not understand the history of satire. That's why I'm doing this video, because I was curious of why this movie failed. Why did American Society of Magical Negroes fail when there was a hunger for Black folks with magic and Black folks who want to laugh and be entertained? Why did it fail? Let's talk about it. So before we get to that question, we have to, one, ask ourselves, for the people who say we do not understand satire, what is satire? So while doing research and trying to understand the history of satire and where it originated from, I ran across this article on Oregon State University that I want to read and share with you all. Satire is the art of making someone or something look ridiculous, raising laughter in order to embarrass, humble, or discredit its target. As a literary genre, satire is one of the oldest, coined by the classical rhetorician Quintilian, who used the root of the Latin word satura, which means critiques on that people being
not skipping it because I don't respect it, but I get what satire is. There's just certain key points in here that I wanted to point out.
A little bit of understanding of what is satire. And now we can talk about why this movie in particular did not make it.
What are you trying to say? I'm not sure this is for me.
But we still got to talk about the magical Negro trope, because people said that we did not understand the trope. So let's discuss that.
Uncle Remus. Oh goodness. Oh yes. The original happy-go-lucky eyes just happy to be here, coon.
I actually really enjoyed doing research on the magical Negro, because you saw throughout history, from Uncle Remus and the Sons of the South to the Green Book, like how it has changed over time.
See, but what do you make of Green Book as a film?
Christ, I'm blacker than you are. Excuse me? You don't know shit about your own people.
One of the most recognized.
Not that I'm on Spike Lee's side at any point, because he has his own shit too. Let's be serious and do the right thing. Like I said, I don't have a problem with Rosie Perez, but at the same time, I notice in a lot of these notable Black films, there is a large absentee of Black women, or if Black women aren't put in a certain role, they're usually just supporting characters. You never hardly see Black women as the love interest. You don't hardly see Black women as the star. And to me, that's purposeful. And that's why I always say, Black women, that you should be very careful about who you support. And the funny thing is that me as a Black woman, I hardly support anybody. Really. My support is very few and far in between. And it's done wonders for me.
Magical Negroes is Uncle Remus from the Sons of the South, where we have this magical Negro singing tunes and singing to birds and stuff, while we also, are hearing negative things about Black folks, and some of the tunes and some of the characters is giving that. So while doing research and trying,
yeah, basically a smiling Negro, a nigga that just smiles through all the disrespect in life. all the while more than likely taking it back to the black woman that's support that's trying to do the best she can to help his weak ass out. But yeah, let me not get too far.
Trying to understand the magical Negro and the definition, I ran into this article about the movie itself on colorwebmag.com, and this article was written by Monique. Spike Lee coined the term in 2001 when he spoke at Yale's then named Calhoun College about Black images in film. He cited 4 films containing what he called the magical, mystical Negro. Those films include The Family Man, What Dreams May Come, The Legend of Bagger Vance, and The Green Mile.
All films that specifically focus on black men. And this is something that we also have to notice too, when black men are quick to say this black people shit, when really they're only talking about themselves, because quick to push stereotypes of black women in their own films, Spike Lee included, but then will bitch and moan about other people who have stereotypes of his image, a black man, in other films. So that's something we also have to point out too, that it's not always be careful of the black people argument when it's coming from black men, because a lot of that has to do with again, they only want to make it a black people argument when they're affected, because when it's strictly black women, they make it strictly black women's problems. So they make it, oh, it's just a black woman's problem, oh, it's just problem, oh, that's just your problem. Because, and I keep telling y'all, black people are not a community. There's black men that have decided to separate themselves into their own shit, which is fine by me. And then you have black women who, for some reason, there's too many that still want this fake coalition that's not happening. It's weird.
As he talked, he asked the audience, how is it that black people have these powers, but they have used them for the benefit of white people?
But my thing is, I don't understand how we're upset at this when we've seen this throughout history, that you'll see a lot of black people with special gifts. I need people to kind of understand what that is. To be honest, Spike Lee should have looked himself in the mirror with that. How is it that black people have these powers, but they use it for the benefit? To me, you could ask that question about black people who are gifted, black people who are especially smart. They have used essentially their powers to benefit white people as a whole. When you think about some of the greatest inventors that we have, majority of black inventors have mostly invented, a lot of their inventions have been for the benefit of white people. A lot of the black bourgeoisie had very, very, very anti-black attitudes towards their own people, especially the poorer versions, because they looked at them as basically a crutch to them getting to the spaces that they wanted to be in, spaces that they otherwise wouldn't be accepted in if it wasn't for exploiting them for their money. It's weird. But I mean, Spike Lee, you kind of got to look in the mirror on that one.
People. Blacks are getting lynched left and right, and Bagger Vance is more concerned about improving Matt Damon's golf swing.
Blacks are getting lynched left and right, and I don't know, Bagger Vance is more concerned. Yeah, we had a lot of black folks getting lynched left and right today, and you have a lot of niggas that are more concerned with dissing black women than getting on that. So, I mean, we could be upset about a movie portraying that, but when you see so many examples of it in real life, can you really blame Hollywood? No, not exactly.
I think it's time.
Time for what?
Time for you to see the field.
The field? I see the field, but it's 445 yards long.
I'll be honest, I've never even seen this movie before. Thank God. I don't like some shit I want to watch.
It's got a little red flag at the end of it. It's 12 strokes ahead of him.
That ain't it. Because if you was seeing the field, you wouldn't be hacking at that ball like you was chopping weeds out from under your front porch.
Lee described the magical Negro trope as a continuation of the stereotype of caricature of African Americans as the noble savage or the happy slave. I also love that Monique makes a point to talk about there's a difference between a Uncle Tom and a magical Negro. A magical Negro also isn't someone who is an Uncle Tom, even though the two have overlapping symptoms, if you will.
I'll be honest, I don't see the difference. I hate when people want to go into this the nuance of a coon. Like me personally, a magical Negro and Uncle Tom is the same thing. Either way, they're both using their gifts and they're both using their pleasantries towards people that don't look like them. While most of the time being hypercritical and extra towards their own, which I'm pretty sure is going to be the magical world. I get why he called this the unmagical world of happy Negroes. I'd have called this the magical world of unhappy Negroes. Really. But yeah, I don't see the difference.
And Uncle Tom might also be a plot device, but it's a stereotype that has become a real life slur. And Uncle Tom is a magical Negro trying to function in reality. And Uncle Tom might align itself with whiteness to an uncomfortable degree at the expense of the morality, self-esteem, self-love, and self-worth.
Oh, perfect example. That's a perfect definition. Yeah, align itself with whiteness to an uncomfortable degree at the expense of morality, self-esteem, yeah. And we see, and there's a reason why that's more so in relation to the Black male character, because I'm sorry, they're usually the ones at the forefront leading this, with usually Aunt Jemima character coming behind.
Monique then goes to use Justice Clarence Thomas as an example of an Uncle Tom compared to a magical Negro, aligning with whiteness.
For you, what do you say to critics who say the just because you're Black?
I think a lot worse things have been said. I disagree with that, but I'll have to live with it.
Oh, Lord, this nigga. Woo! Sorry. This is a Sambo. I wish, King of Reeds would have brought this up and would have brought this term up too, but no, the uncle, this nigga is far from. He's more so a fucking Sambo. He's an Uncle Ruckus. Now, I guess in the case of Uncle Ruckus, the fictional character, even though he speaks for a lot of Black men today, Clarence Thomas is one of the original, for sure. He is one of the original Uncle Toms, one of the original coons, but he's a Sambo. He's not, I'm going to just be honest, he's not an Uncle Tom. He's a Sambo. A Sambo is worse. These are people that are actively aware of what's going on and don't give a fuck because of whatever self-hatred they have. So, Clarence Thomas is a straight Sambo.
You refer to the press? How about that for?
And bitch, I will always look at you a certain way for what you did to Anita Hill. You and the Trog and the Michelin Man bitch that you married to also.
Well, I also say I didn't make this election.
President, one of the ones that kind of jumped out to me as a child, I never really did understand it when I was young, was the WB Frog. I don't know if you all remember it.
Oh, I actually grew up on the WB Frog. He was one of my favorite characters, honestly. I enjoyed it as a kid. I don't know. Well, hold on, let me play it.
But it just made me uncomfortable. Something about this frog in a top hat and having this kind of Black voice, like tap dance, just made me uncomfortable. What I find,
hold on. I think that might be a bit of a reach. I don't know. I guess maybe with me, I never got the impression that his voice was Black. I wish a lot of us would kind of get out of this ignorant stereotype of thinking that there's white folks out here that don't have bass or some kind of rhythm to their voice. There are. In fact, there's one of my favorite voice actors. He's long since passed. His name is Thurl Ravencroft. Man has one of the deepest baritone voices I've ever heard from any race of man. And he's white, 100%. Not mixed, not one drop. He doesn't even have not like a Black great grandma somewhere. No, he's 100% white. And that man has a voice. There's even a Russian painter, I believe. I think he's a Russian sculptor, actually. I have to look him up. I saw him on an episode of The Golden Girls a long time ago. His voice, his baritone is deep, deep, deep. So I'm going to be honest. I feel like, I mean, I get where Justin's going with this one, but no, I don't get that with the WB Frog. That sounded to me like a white guy singing who just happened to have a very great voice. Because there were a lot of white men who sung with top hats and canes back in the day. So yeah, no. And this is an old Looney Tunes cartoon, so this is very much reflective of of white men in bands at the time, especially the ones who wore top hats. Wasn't just black folks. So yeah.
The black voice, like tap dancing, just made me uncomfortable. What I find fascinating about the Magical Negro is that the Magical Negro does not necessarily have to have magic. That was the start of it, but it has method.
I'm not gonna lie. I am so glad I did not watch any of the. I've never seen any of these movies. Focus, Driving Miss Daisy. All I need to hear is the premise of what a movie is going to be, and I don't ever need to watch it.
As many things. I'll give you some examples. Jennifer Hudson in the Sex and the City first movie, how she was helping Carrie, she was her assistant, but she was helping Carrie with her love life. Like she kept talking to her about getting back with Big, and like she has some emails and da-da-da. And she is the reason why she got back with Big. So helping the white protagonist, because we didn't see anything too much about Jennifer Hudson's character. We didn't learn too much about her. She was fat, dark skinned, and she was the help.
Basically, the typical mammy caricature that white women are comfortable with. Yes, we are. I am I am too much aware of this trope. And I'm honestly kind of sick of it. I wish a lot of black women would refuse some of these roles of continuing on stereotypical characters. But at the same time, they're very, very selective about black women that they choose. They usually choose from the same roster. Like if y'all notice, there's like a certain roster of black women that they choose repeatedly for certain roles. And while y'all might big that up and say, oh my God, they eating, they getting all this roles and they're representing, it's like, no. You don't even see the game plan. The reason why they're using that certain roster is because they don't want to bring any more. They don't want to bring a diverse mindset of black women onto the set. They damn sure wouldn't want nobody like me on the set, because I'd be calling all this shit out. And I would essentially be classified as difficult and booted out of Hollywood anyway. That's why a lot of y'all, that when y'all hear about black women that are being called difficult or just outright being ignored for roles, or not even sent certain, or only sent certain scripts for certain roles, that's on purpose. Hollywood has their own agenda of keeping certain mindsets and keeping certain messages going. The less you play into it, the more bankrupt they'll become. Which is why I'm on a mission to bankrupt Hollywood for sure, because they're not putting out anything they're not putting anything out that benefits me or interests me as a black woman. Like, it's all propaganda. That's why I stick to documentaries, and that's why I stick to informative podcasts. And if I do watch anything that's extracurricular, I'm watching other black women. And I'm actually going to get into that later on towards the end of this.
Essentially, she didn't have any magic. She didn't have no birds, singing on her, whatever, but she offered words of wisdom. Another example that jumped out that I have not seen was the Green Book, where Mahershala Ali's character.
Okay, well, I'll be honest. I actually never seen this. I never seen this movie.
Was supposed to be the main subject. Like, he was the one in positions of power. Like, he had money. He was talented. He was the celebrity. Even with the power that this character had, it still was in servitude of the white character.
And truth be told, a lot of black men enjoy being in that position. Like, I'm just gonna keep it a buck. Oh, excuse me. Especially straight black men. I think, in all honesty, as long as they feel like they're above black women, they're just fine with whatever status they're in. I'll get into that later too.
Still, even with him being rich, he was helping the white character with his problems.
Thank you for sharing your husband with me.
Thank you for helping him with the lettuce.
Other examples are
The fuck? I'm so glad I didn't see that shit.
La La Land. I've not seen that as well. There are certain movies that I never had the term or the language to explain why I just wasn't interested. And these are two of those movies. And Mahershala Ali is a true talented actor. Like, there is no doubt about that. But sometimes, they get in roles like that. So we understand that although we recognize old versions of the magical Negro, it still is present in films that we have seen recently and will exist as long as racism exists, period. So now that we understand satire and the magical Negro trope, which I hope y'all do, we can talk about now why the movie failed. Why did it fail? Why weren't people interested? The movie only made $2 million. And as a
Oh, that's horrible. Oh, but I'm happy though. I'm extremely happy. I'm actually extremely proud. I'm extremely proud of that. In all honesty, it shouldn't have made that much, but hey, I'm glad it was at least a flop.
Now they have pulled the movie from theaters. I had a chance to see it at a theater, and I was the only person in there. Actually, was one other person who came in there. But why did it?
That's a goddamn shame. You and one other person in a whole theater? Oh, man. Oh, Lord. And again, like I said, this was a waste of money. They could have, whoever, listen, they was better off giving me the money. I'd have wrote a much better script than this shit.
It failed. I think the reason why it failed is because they did not understand the audience. I think like a lot.
No, they understood the audience. The thing is, they were trying to pander, and you're going to get into it. They were trying to pander to both audiences at the same time. And the thing is, they have to understand that these audiences don't mix. Like said lead character. Ooh, I think I just made a connection. Yeah, they were basically trying to, this was written through the eyes of a confused biracial man. So it makes sense that his message would be a little bit fucked up and misconstrued because he's trying to placate to certain audiences that really don't give a fuck about the pandering.
A lot of media, whether it's a movie or a show, they try to give this story of blackness and whatever, and like, oh, we're going to tell a black story. But there's always teaspoons or tablespoons of whiteness being centered because they want a white audience to come see this film.
I'm not gonna lie, this Dear White People show was trash. Straight trash.
Or movie or watch this show.
Like, I'll be honest, to be honest, I never watched this show in full. I couldn't get past like the first few episodes. Like it was just too cringy, and it had nothing to do with with her being with the white guy, because that I don't mind. But it was just the forced. Again, first of all, the name of the show was a turn off anyway. Like, what the fuck, Dear White People? Anyway.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm sorry to embarrass you in front of all your friends.
Oh, so you felt like the odd man out for 2 minutes. Guess what? I feel like that every day on this campus.
Yes, society sucks, but I would never let my friends make you feel you didn't belong in my world.
That is where the quote unquote money is at to them. They don't want to take any chances of making something too black to the point that it turns white audiences off. So they try to.
Exactly. So it's always, in other words, they make these movies at the expense of black folks, which means the gaze was towards the white audience. Like, I wish people stop trying to placate to this bullshit and stop making it seem like they were trying to, they didn't know who their audience was. They did know. Their audience was white. You just explained it, Justin. if you feel like you have to tone down the messaging in order to please another group, what does that say? That says that both groups don't even mix. Like said person who wrote and starred in the film. I'm sorry, I keep have to laugh. I keep laughing at that connection that I'm making. It's too obvious.
To meet in the middle, and it doesn't do anything. They did not understand the audience. Honestly, Black folks are beyond this. I feel like this movie is something that should have came out years ago. It does not work in 2024 in a post George Floyd era. And the fact that I'm even using a Black man being unalived by police as an example.
Oh, that's another thing. I don't feel this as a Black woman. I don't feel the same way about George Floyd as most of the community does, and I'll just leave it at that.
Example of an era is just the state of the world that we are in, and the reason why I say that because I think about movies like Get Out.
However, I do my more of my sympathy goes towards Breonna Taylor. I'll say that. For me, it's the Breonna Taylor era.
If Get Out was to come out right now, I don't think it would receive the same reaction.
This motherfucker's lying.
So many things have happened. The pandemic, all of the unrest that was happening during the pandemic, all of the things that we're moving towards. Like, history repeats itself. Like, it's not new that Black folks have been experiencing these things. It's just too close to home, and we are just not interested in the story. Like, Black folks are starting to catch on. Like, Black folks are like, girl, why every time we see a Black character, who is in a movie, they have to be a non-Black person? People are starting to catch it in commercials and all.
Also, another reason why I don't support so-called Black films. Like, people need to just start calling it for what it is. Like, a Black man in the film alone does not constitute a Black film. It's just a Black male film. So that's why I don't have to say anything. I just don't support. And I tell Black women all the time, you don't have to say anything. You not spending money and you not going to see this shit is going to be louder than you saying anything.
Versions of media that we get, like I see it all the time. I even see it when I am looking at campaigns around HIV and PrEP that you don't too much see a lot. They changed it now where the Black person is with another Black person. The same critique that I had with Empire when it first came out, and Jamal's character was with a non-Black person. Nothing is wrong with a character being in a relationship that is interracial, whatever, but it seems to be the only version of Blackness that we are force-fed, and a lot of us are tired. But we still got a long way to go, because if we ain't seeing that, we're seeing the Black, dark-skinned man in a relationship with the lighter character.
Yep. And that's regardless of that's actually regardless of sexual orientation. Because like he just said, even with the Black male characters, it's the same shit. It's the same shit. It really is about the erasure of Blackness at the end of the day. And sorry to say, it's mostly dark-skinned, straight Black men that are participating the hardest in it. And that's the reason why they're the ones that don't want to talk about it, because they'd have to look themselves in the mirror. And truth be told, there's a lot of conversations that a lot of Black men don't want to have regarding a lot of things when it comes to the community. And a lot of them are just digging their own hole by not acknowledging it, because they're too busy trying to, again, stick it to the white man, even though he's been sticking the Black man for centuries at this point.
Another reason why this movie failed is that it tried to give this sense of Harry Potter. Like, it tried to give this sense of what we...
Yeah, I mean, come on, yo. This whole setup is giving me Harry Potter. Like, I feel like Dumbledore is about to walk into the room. Like, this is a bullshit I don't like. It's like it's too many talented Black folks for this bullshit. And this is how I know that this is it's intentional sabotage at this point. That's why I don't support Hollywood. It's intentional sabotage, because let Harry Potter have their shit, and we there's too many of us that have our own ideas But see, a lot of the thing is, there's a lot of Black folks who have ideas that aren't popular to the mainstream or aren't popular to the status quo, and that's the reason why you won't really see much of it being supported.
Some of us, grew up watching Harry Potter. For those who don't, people who probably are introduced to it later on, they wanted to see versions of that. We've seen content creators do funny skits and versions of this professor in Harry Potter, if they were Black or if it was a Black student at Hogwarts, what it would have looked like, what would Quidditch look like. So that is in our minds. That is what, my generation is thinking about. That's what we are hungry for. And they tried to play in that. Like you saw the font that they used in this movie. It gave a version of Harry Potter and the Wizarding World of that, but not too much because we don't want to get sued. I feel like they tried to pull on that nostalgia of Harry Potter for a lot of us. And even to the soundtrack and the music that was used, I was like, oh, girl, they are really trying it.
And they use the exact same type of music. Like, come on, son. I'm getting more and more disgusted with this shit. Moving on.
And it just did not give what we thought it was going to give. You had Black folks who had magic, but only could use it in servitude of white people.
Because if you don't put Jason first, everyone's magic will fail.
I was hoping there was like a team building thing.
We're all in this together now. So you have to set up Lizzie and Jason, and I have to drive around this crotchety old white lady.
And I get that it's quote unquote satire explaining the magical Negro trope. But again, as I referenced earlier, that does not work in 2024. Maybe in 2018, doing shows like Dear White People, where it was trying to do something and educate white folks, and it absolutely did nothing. A lot of those shows, are gone now because it's this belief that if they create.
And pause. We also got to speak about, as much as I love Logan Browning, she's also a safe Black too. I don't know her racial makeup exactly. I don't know if she's biracial. I don't think so. I believe that she comes from 2 Black parents. I think. But at the same time, we can't ignore this though. We can't ignore the that she's also a safe Black as well.
Content around the experiences of Black folks that maybe white people understand, and maybe white people will get it together. And one, it doesn't work because it's oftentimes watered down. I think about the show Blackish, where they struggled trying to have a conversation about colorism.
No one in this family is as dark as me. That's the problem.
It's not a problem. The fact that you're different is a good thing.
Mm-hmm. If it's so good, then why are you all so scared to talk about it?
Wow. Hold on. I didn't even know Grownish had an episode like, what is it called? Oh, Blackish. I didn't even know they had an episode like this.
Sometimes watered down. I think about the show Blackish, where they struggled trying to have a conversation about colorism.
No one in this family is as dark as me. That's the problem.
Pause. Wow. I didn't even know about this. Now, I'm going to be honest. I often wonder if this is a topic of conversation for Black men who intentionally get with lighter women. And it's more than likely because they think that they're going to have a darker son, and then trying to explain to their daughter why they didn't choose a woman that looked like her, but yet you produce a girl that looked like her. So are you just, because then it's going to get to the point where you're going to have to admit that you don't even think your own daughter is attractive. And I know this is a conundrum for a lot of dark-skinned girls who have lighter moms, or darker girls who have white moms, or whatever, mixed girls who have white moms. I know that that's also a conundrum for them too. And that's how I know that a lot of these Black dads really don't give a fuck about their daughters. It's all about them and their sons for the most part when they do that.
Not a problem. The fact that you're different is a good thing.
If it's so good, then why are you all so scared to talk about it?
There was an episode that was supposed to be aired about Colin Kaepernick that did not get pushed. ABC and these networks are not interested in telling these black stories like that. It's too black. They don't want to.
And it also doesn't get past me that Blackish was also executive produced by two black men, Lawrence Fishburne and Anthony Anderson. Well, Anthony Anderson.
Networks are not interested in telling these black stories like that.
Lawrence Fishburne. That doesn't get past me either.
It's too black. They don't want to do too much to alienate the audience. They want to make it digestible for white audiences. So it's no surprise that majority of the folks on Blackish are light-skinned. It doesn't surprise me, unfortunately, that American Society of Magical Negroes, the main character is light-skinned. Like, it does not surprise me because this is a version of blackness that they are comfortable with. And I have to be honest, and this is no shade to Justice Smith or any of the folks I'm mentioning, but when I look at some of the folks who are involved, Justice Smith is sadly the magical Negro or the magical minority in a lot of movies.
You know what I like about you, Ultraviolet?
What?
You're all the colors in one at full brightness.
He doesn't have any magic, but he is the token black, palatable, digestible black.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Oh my God, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm trying my hardest not to laugh at this shit. I don't call this palatable black. I just call this non-black.
Person in these movies. He's been in mainstream movies that have went on and been box office hits. The Pokemon movie, Jurassic Park, I don't know if it was a hit, but I enjoyed it, where he's the only black person in the... Again,
He is not black. If he has a white mom and a black dad, he is only half black. I don't understand why people are continuing wanting to. It's funny how a lot of black folks complain about racism and slavery, but they love to keep that one drop rule from slavery, which was actually meant to exclude blackness. It was actually meant to keep blackness as far away from whiteness as possible. It was meant to basically exclude the white folks who did have a drop of blood in them. It wasn't meant for black folks to include everybody that has a drop of black blood in it. And this is my thing about, and I noticed that it's mostly black men that push this one drop rule shit. Well, they push it on their side because when it comes to the subject of black women and their the children that they have with other races of men, they pretend like they're non-existent.
Movie or the black person who's getting, any type of attention or whatever. And it's kind of like this season, okay, we got a black character, we got a black person here, we're doing that. And Justice Smith is a talented actor. I think he is talented. I don't want to take anything away from him, but we have to be honest, and these conversations are uncomfortable. Uncomfortable for me, for somebody who is not in the industry, but somewhat is and have access and have seen some things. Even seeing someone like a Nicole Byer, where Nicole Byer has, been in specific projects and stuff that cater to. Byer has, been in specific.
The typical mammy trope. Overweight, moderation, overweight, darker, medium tone black women. Medium brown to dark skinned black women. It's always the case.
Projects and stuff that cater towards white audiences. Like her version of comedy and how she talks and stuff is digestible for white folks. Like white folks are comfortable with it.
I like that dress. That's serious. Right? Oh. It says things, and you know what it says? Because I think that's either Japanese or
read.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh God. Did she say I don't read anymore?
It's not, and it's no shade. It's no surprise to me that these people who fit into these things also have non-black partners. Now, I know that Justice Smith has a black partner. Like, I know that because people wanted to let me know. But his partner is also light-skinned, and that matters too. And it's not Justice Smith's fault. It doesn't mean that he's not a good person or whatever. What it means is, though, there's a specific type of blackness that Hollywood is only interested in.
As any marginalized person can attest to, we've had to find ourselves in white stories. We've had to find white characters that we identify with for so long. And then now that we are centering ourselves in these stories, white audiences for the first time ever are being, like now I have to find myself, even though no one in this looks like me.
Dude, are you serious? I'm gonna be honest, if I didn't watch this and Justin didn't say you were you had a black dad and a white mom, I would have just assumed that you were some type of Hispanic or some type of other white. I would never have assumed you were black just by looking at you. So yeah, no, I don't. Like I said, biracial is not black.
You know, I really identify with this protagonist, and but that's where empathy comes from. You know, that's where actual movement comes from.
They do not want someone that is too black. Now, I understand that blackness is not a monolith. We've heard that so many times, but there's only
That's only ever used whenever they're trying to justify the erasure of darker folks, because when of darker black folks. That's all that this is about. And the fact that so many black people are willing to participate in it, I don't really feel bad for a lot of black folks anymore. I don't. I really don't. All this complaining and bitching, but still want to support it. I just don't.
A certain type of blackness that Hollywood is interested in. And we see it. As someone who's been to LA a couple of times and been at some of these industry events, it's no shock to me that a lot of the black folks in Hollywood and LA have a lot of white friends, because no shade, some of y'all hate y'all blackness as much as y'all white friends.
Woo! 100% true.
Catch it. Like, I've seen how you all pick and choose what versions of black that you want to display. Again, blackness is not a monolith, but the fact that you have no problem picking apart blackness and talking about things you do not like, but you don't give the same energy to whiteness. It's very interesting to me. But we're not going to get into that too much. I'm going to say that for
Truth be told, there's full black folks that do the same thing. If you check out most of these stupid bloggers, sites, and tea pages and all that shit, it's literally devoted to exploiting the business of other black folks. They don't really explore tea or anything like that when it comes to other races of people, but there's such a fascination that black folks have with seeing the downfall of other black folks. And that's something that we need to talk about as well.
Another video, because that's a lot. I feel like I done got off topic, but you get what I'm saying when I talk about like blackness and the version of blackness that Hollywood wants to put out. That's why this movie failed, because you had this version of blackness that was supposed to be palatable to white folks, and white people were calling it woke movies.
Haven't we all had just about enough of this anti-whiteism and black fragility?
Being described as a satire to play on the magical Negro trope. In reality, it was just a massive woke virtue signal that everybody could see straight through.
The attempts at the yucks and the oofs in the trailer actually just come across as regular, far-left ideologues talking quite openly and earnestly about how they feel about people from different races.
You know, with this piece, I think it's actually a terrifically universal piece.
To have this black YouTuber who was critiquing it and, you know, dragging it, calling it a woke movie.
The American Society of Magical Negroes is a race-baiting movie about how supposedly dangerous white people in America are.
There is nothing about this that was woke. Like, there is nothing. This is not even, it doesn't even read. Like, the number is undefined. Like, I can't, because it's not woke at all. And I hate how people use the term woke. I do not use that term, haven't used that term in so long, child. It is completely eradicated. This movie was nowhere near woke. Nowhere was it. So it wasn't good enough for white folks, and it wasn't good enough for black folks.
It's easier if I show you.
No.
It damn sure wasn't good for black folks. Even the bougie blacks who can somewhat relate to it was like, oh girl, like, it's not giving, because they saw straight through it. Again, this movie does not work in 2024. Maybe 2016, 17, or 18.
I don't even think that shit would have worked in 2016, to be honest. Especially not 2016. I think that'd have been the worst time. Because isn't that when Donald Trump got put in office? And everybody was panicking and acting the fucking fool. No, that this couldn't have came out in 2016. Not at all. I don't even think this would have got cleared in 2016.
Maybe before all of the things, even Trump being elected and stuff, maybe. But girl, this movie failed to even be critical of race.
Independent of the sort of racialized sort of generation of that for myself and for the character that the Justice plays, I think that's something a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds can connect with.
Like they were trying to remove racism and make racism where white people are just uncomfortable. Our powers are being used to keep white people from being upset.
We are constantly monitoring the happiness of every white person in America. And when one gets too unhappy, they become a client. You'll use a white tears meter to get a reading of their stress levels. And it will also let you know when
stories being told by two essentially like biracial folks. It got a little chuckle out of me. But I didn't laugh too much. I was like, okay, you know, people enjoyed it.
Hold on, pause. There's a certain portion in here where he discusses the concept of a black woman could have also been in here too. Hold on.
Justice Smith character Aaron is being introduced to magic by Roger, and Roger has been working, you know, doing this job for a while, and he's teaching him how the power works and all these things, and we learn about the, you know, white tear meter, and we are seeing him interact with a white cop, and you know, the white cop is uncomfortable, so it just doesn't work. It's like a Saturday Night Live skit, and it's just not giving. And we see this, like, there was a couple of times I laughed, a couple of times I'm like, and I wasn't moved. Like for an hour and 30 minutes, whatever, it just wasn't enough for me to feel like, oh, okay, like, oh, girl, this is good. It just didn't reach it. It never got to that point. So we get to Aaron finding this job, and he, you know, because he was trying to be an artist and the art wasn't selling. Even that was corny. And he has his job, and he is interested in this white woman. Now, I will say Justice Smith, like his chemistry with that white woman, the acting, it was on it. Like, it was cute. I was like, okay, girl, I like this.
I feel like if I squint, I can totally see the Chrysler Building.
Oh. It's supposed to be the Empire State Building.
That's what I said, the Empire
not
State
what you
Building.
said.
Yes, it is.
So Aaron finds out later that the white person that he's been assigned to make sure he's okay is interested in the white woman he's interested in, or the non-black woman. I don't know, child. It don't matter to me at this point. Like, just like I thought.
Yeah, let's just keep it simple.
Girl, I'm so trash. He's interested in her, but he cannot date her or show any more interest because, you know, it can mess up the system. And so he finds out later that someone else who's been given a white person to make happy or whatever, they talk back to the white person and they told him off or whatever in a respectful way. And everybody's powers went out of whack. Like everybody's powers started being wacky. And Nicole Byers' character comes down and explains, you know, that's not how it works, and she banishes her, like, hey girl, your memory will be erased and you can't do that. Like, that's not.
Well, quick question. Why didn't we see the girl that they banished? Did they not show her in the movie? I'm just wondering why she wasn't shown in this clip. But I'm guessing this was a sister that got banished.
Not the purpose. Like, we are doing this to, you know, keep us alive. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm taking a step back. Okay, how is it that y'all have been around? How long have y'all been around? How long has the American Society of Negroes, Magical Negroes been? Because what the hell was y'all doing around slavery? Like, what y'all doing around slavery? What were y'all in Master's bedroom being like? What was y'all doing to keep, like, see how it doesn't work? See how it falls flat? Because not 2014, like folks are more aware now. So it's just like, oh, how does this work? Folks are thinking these things. So it just does not work.
That is true, because my mind went there too. Depending on how far back the society goes, which I'm not about to go watch this movie to figure out. If your ancestors was around during slavery, you mean to tell me what the fuck was you resorting to do to keep white folks happy? Yeah, no, that is a disturbing thought. No, thank you.
So realizing that the powers are going to be zapped if you use it for yourself, it just doesn't work. And Aaron starts to feel even more stronger feelings for the white woman, and it causes the powers to be completely out of whack, like completely out of whack. And he is found out, like, you are responsible, like you having attraction and being interested in this woman is causing all of this. Like,
so they made him being attracted to some white chick the crutch of to take it down all of black folks. Oh, honey, there is so much historical accuracy to that message. If that's the message they were trying to send, it's understandable. But they could have sent it in a much I'd have sent it in a much in a much more uncomfortable way.
Like, girl, we got to kick you out. So Roger then has to, wipe his mind and send him on his way. And Aaron is interested in this. He's like, okay, it just is what it is. And it doesn't work for some reason. Like, it just doesn't work. And I was kind of confused. Maybe, the American Society of Negroes has been disbanded. To me, that would have been a better story ending, that it's not our job to do this to make white people comfortable. That could have been something, but that is not something they're going to consider, because unfortunately, that is not their thought process when it comes to really understanding anti-Black. They do not understand it. That's why it is hard for people who are not well-read or understanding real things to do a film about it, because it shows up. So we get to the end of the movie and Aaron shows like interest towards the woman. Like, okay, girl, like, I guess they're about to date or whatever. And she leaves and goes about her day and goes into this beauty shop or whatever. I don't know what the hell, skincare place or whatever. And come to find out she's a part of a society called Supportive Women.
Society of Supportive Wives and Girlfriends. I also wonder if him, being the product of a Black man and a white woman, because I noticed that there's a conversation of, Black women, oh, we're not supportive enough, we're all independent or whatever. So this is supposed to be an organization of, hold on, I don't know.
Character trope. And that's supposed to be the gag that explains why Aaron was falling for a non-Black woman. Again, we could have did that with a Black woman. We could have done that with a Black woman. And you could have inserted maybe a Black woman who was dealing with misogyny. Like, yes.
Oh, that'd have been too much like right. And this is what prompted me to do this this entire live. Let me tell you something. If that was the case, trust me, the product of a white man and the product of a white woman and a Black man will never talk about misogyny, because essentially he was created from that. Those are the two demographics that engage in it the most, especially when it comes to advancing their own personal agendas.
You get it as a Black man, but look what I have to deal with as a Black woman. I'm dealing with sexism and racism at the same time. That would have been a gag. But again, the people in charge don't understand these things, but they want to be critical. They want to talk about it, but they're not well-versed on the things that they're talking about.
And I read it and I identified with it. It was my experience, in myself.
Right.
matter expert on these things. When people come talking about the, stuff that's going on in Atlanta, whatever, when it comes to HIV and AIDS, I am a person living with HIV who lives in Atlanta. I am not the subject matter expert to talk about these things. So I would then tap somebody who is well-versed to be able to talk about those things. Sometimes they say, you know what? Thank you for the opportunity. I'm gonna pass the peach, period. And we did not see this with that. Like, y'all should pass the peach. There was nothing educational, informative, or anything that we can take from this message that works. Like, it just did not. It fell completely flat. And it's no wonder that this film did not make any money. It just didn't do well. And I'm just not surprised. So what can we do? What can we do? I don't know. I'm not really sure how to make better movies that is going to be inclusive of Black folks. And all. I'm just not sure because Hollywood is white. It's white. And I don't think it's changing anytime soon. I would like for it to change. But if it does change with, these things, what else would we deal with? Because there's not just issues with Black folks and stuff that are in movies. Also, a lot of ableism. Like a lot of fat folk, you have, characters wear fat suits. You have characters who are not disabled playing disabled characters. There is so much. And I just don't think that some of these people have the range to be able to write a complex story, even if it is from a point of satire. So, girl, I don't know. Sometimes we ain't gonna have all the answers. We just know that the stuff is wrong. But that's all I got. I do want to say.
So I am going to stop sharing. Now, everything Justin said was correct, especially with that last bit about misogynoir being included, because that could have been a topic. But at the same time, we also have to remember that white women and Black men are not our allies at all. In fact, a lot of them tend to come together in combination of misogynoir. They tend to come together to commit misogynoir. And I'm sorry, it's just something that we have to be on the lookout for. And ladies, you shouldn't support Black movies. I'm sorry. This common trope of Black erasure, of Black women's erasure in these films needs to be a clue. It has, like, you're seeing it. And you saying to yourself or psyching yourself out by saying, hey, oh, they're Black too. Guess what, sweetie? They're doing it at your expense. They don't mind erasing you to put themselves in the forefront. So you need to start, if you start worrying about yourself, they're going to show their colors. They're going to show their colors. Because notice, the moment that you start not supporting their stuff, all of a sudden there's this bullshit about the Black community being anti-light skin or anti, and it's like, no, you don't even get to pull that bullshit. So that's kind of the end of that. I mean, my review of this was just kind of vague, was just kind of brief, but it should be obvious why Black women should not support Black movies. And I use Black in quotations. And I'm sorry, you're also probably going to have to get into the practice of researching whose pockets you're lining. My thing is, ask yourself, how often are you supporting directors who are married to women that look like you? How often are you supporting people who are financially supporting women that look like you? See, I only ever financially support men who I know the money's going to go to a woman that looks like me. And that's how every other race of women supports men too. They only support men based on who they're with. And if that man happens to be with a Black woman, he will not get support. So we have to be the ones to support. We have to be the ones that support each other. And that's pretty much how I'm going to end it on that. Y'all have a good one.